Hello, Coolman229 here with another Topic of the Week video. This week I'll be discussing Attack on Titan. Yeah, you know, it's funny, I've never really talked much about Attack on Titan. I've only really done it on Topic of the Week 6. But I got another topic on it, and I actually discussed something that I really want to talk about, because I think it's kind of a big deal that I don't really think a lot of people really recognize. This topic was submitted by Tumblr Anon, and their topic is why the Trost Arc was so good in SNK, what the other arcs failed to understand about its first arc. Okay, so I have said for a very long time that the only good story arc in Attack on Titan is the Trost Arc. And one of the main reasons for this is that it is the only completed story arc. Yes, it is the only arc that actually has a starting point, has a story that happens, and then has a definite finishing point. A lot of other stuff is basically just like, whatever. Specifically, let me talk about the next main arc, the Female Titan arc, and how it's not a Female Titan arc. You see, it became that. But when you start out, when you start out that arc, it's basically like everyone's like, okay, we're going to go into the basement, this is our expedition to go to the basement, Aaron's basement, and we're going to find whatever's in there. And we're gonna figure something out. All right, cool. And then they go there, and the Female Titan shows up, and then all of a sudden, everything about the basement gets dropped, and it gets dropped for a long time, mind you, years in real time. And all of a sudden, everything becomes about the Female Titan, and then it just drops that storyline. Like. And I'm not saying the Female Titan arc was totally bad. It had some pretty stupid stuff in it, such as the death of Squad Levi, which I still consider some of the worst deaths I've ever seen, and some of the most ham-fisted deaths in Attack on Titan. And that's saying a lot, considering Mike was killed by a horse flying at him. And Mike Zacharias, was actually stated to be the second strongest soldier in the army. He is the only person who outshines him is Levi, who, at this point, we've all recognized is extremely OP and has plot armor that makes him borderline invincible. The worst thing he suffered is, what, a sprained ankle? Because Mikasa screwed him up. It's like, yeah, you really ruined Levi's character with that. And but yeah, the reason that the Trost Arc is good, and I wouldn't say it's great, like amazing, but considering that, considering the story writing quality in Attack on Titan is pretty much bottom of the barrel, and that's being generous, I think we can all say that the Trost Arc is fantastic for what's in it. And sure, yeah, a lot of the problems I have with it really stem from, well, just generally core issues with the manga as a whole. The whole thing of everything's dark, we can't win against the Titans, everyone dies, everyone you know and love dies, and here we're going to kill all these people that you care about because, that's how we establish drama. But if you strip away those elements, it's actually a really solid storyline, because the Colossal Titan, after several years of absence, reappears. Oh my gosh, like, holy crap. Where this thing is back in that iconic shot, that we've seen from the anime, where there's Eren standing at the ready, with the Colossal Titan, like, looming over the wall of, Trost. I think, yeah, Trost, it's the Trost Arc, duh. But, and then, he kicks the wall in, Titans start coming in, and then, and everyone now, like, the 104th has to get together, and, it's their first battle, and they have to work together to, to fight and survive, and there's a lot of good moments in it, characters coming together. There's a lot of moments where, some great moments, especially with Armin, trying to figure out plans, like when they're in that, like, under that building or something, and they need to get down. I think I'm trying to remember all the details of it. It's been a while since I've read the manga, but yeah, it was they needed to get down to this one area. I think it was to refuel. Yeah, I think it was to refuel. Because they had the little refuel things down the bottom, but it was covered with Titans. So then they had this, Armin Hammer had this plan where they lower in, and it's a shot from the opening where they all put their guns and I think they're muskets, but their muskets and their guns, and then they shoot, they blind the Titans, and they have some of their, top people like Annie and Mikasa, deliver killing blows on the Titans, and that's great. One of the things that a series really needs to do is that if you have this premise that's kind of absurd, such as the whole humans can't win against Titans, and it's like on average it takes 30 people to take down a single Titan, and you're like, that doesn't really make as much sense. But then you have this where you're like, okay, yeah, if people just run up at a Titan, they'll die, because these things, even small ones, are like 15 feet tall. But if you think and you have any modicum of skill, then you can survive, and you can kill these Titans with little to no casualties. So it's nice to see that stuff. And it was also nice when we got our first look at, the Survey Corps, and we see, Hanji and Levi basically just taking their time and just casually taking out Titans. That was actually really important, but it's something that Isayama did not quite catch. He didn't quite understand that that's what he needed to be doing. He just pushed the whole grim, dark stuff, and the manga suffered for it heavily. But going back to the actual story, you have stuff like Eren's death, and Eren's death, I have to say, was handled really well. Isayama is a bad writer, and I actually have little doubt that he had these ideas of how this story would go. Some stuff he made up on the fly, like Marco's death, which is introduced to us after the during the cleanup of Trost, when John finds his body just like. His best friend's dead now. It's like, and that was a hard hitting, and Marco's death is very well handled for the most part. But that's not particularly relevant in this. But getting back onto the main topic, and then you have Eren's death, and then you have this rogue. I called him the Rogue Titan when I was watching it, or Double Decker because of the teeth. When I was first watching the anime, and. And then it's revealed that this is Eren. He can turn into a Titan, and his arm that, had gotten literally chomped off was, it regrew. He has these regeneration abilities, and that is a well-handled shock twist. Like, that turns everything on its head. You thought this series was so dark that it would kill its main character? No, he's still alive, and oh my gosh. I remember, like, I heard people... Everyone always told me, oh my gosh, wait until you get to episode 5. It gets super dark, and I was like, stop telling me stuff about it. And then when it happened, I was like, oh. And anyways, the Rogue Titan comes in, I was like, oh, and it's revealed to be Eren. It's like, oh, and then it's like, now we need to plug the wall. And then after they kind of, can get together, you had Mikasa's whole, freak out at Eren's death, and she went like full suicidal, because she thought that she had nothing to live for. The last of her family is dead. The one guy that she had left, her original family, were brutally murdered in front of her. The Jaegers are all gone. Carla's gone. Eren's father, it starts with a G, but I can't remember his name. Grisha's gone. Eren is all she has left, and now he's gone too. Yeah, they had a lot of great moments moving forward. Like, and this stuff would have been great to really develop. But the only really thing that was developed after this was, Marco's death and how this affected not only Jean, but the rest of the 104. We see that this affected Jean so much that he basically stopped being a complete douchebag because he realized, he had to step up. And him and Marco, because Marco's just that nice guy, and how this was affected them, and this all caused them to join the Survey Corps following Eren, his inspiration, John's example, and then all the people who wanted to join the Survey Corps and joining. you know, because they wanted to, you know, do something and not just go sit in a comfy position in the inner, you know, the inner ring, the inner walls. But you know, of course, you know, like I said, none of this stuff beyond that really gets developed, but there were some good moments in the Trost Arc. And then you had that whole plot line with them having to plug the wall and them trying to use Aaron's Titan form and him having to sort of overcome this. I wouldn't say it's like the Incredible Hulk, but you know, he has this, you know, weird thing where he's trying to, you know, focus his abilities and stop, not just be a mindless monster while he's in his Titan form. And that stuff is pretty interesting. Now, there were some stupid character deaths, yes, and especially in that part where that one guy we were introduced in sacrificing himself, which, yeah, I guess could have been meaningful if, you know, the rest of the cast being slaughtered en masse wasn't such a regular thing, but what can you do when Isayama doesn't know how to create drama? But yes, the Trost Arc is a pretty solid arc and a great start to the series. And then, you know, you get into the manga, which then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, now we're going to tell you about the training, which I am so glad that the anime just put those right before the Trost Arc, so that we actually get that training, and that we at least get the attachment to the characters that wasn't there, because in the manga, when I was reading the manga, this is hilarious. It's like, oh, the walls are down, and Eren and Mikasa and Armin have escaped. Boom, 3 years later they're graduating. Like, what? At least we get some context in the anime. Of course, the anime had to screw things up too, but what can you do about that with source material like Attack on Titan? Now, like I mentioned with the female Titan arc, it just totally off the rails. And then, but even after that, you know, you get into this, you know, and after the whole female Titan, after Annie seals herself, like, again, there's no real conclusion to the female Titan arc, because Annie seals herself in a crystal, and, well, that's it. As far as I know, as, you know, was the posting of this, you know, the recording of this video on June 17th, 2017, Annie is still in that crystal, as far as I know. And that stuff happened years ago. I mean, like, come on, Isayama. It's like, you know, and Isayama was terrible. Oh my gosh, I need to say this is an important point. He was terrible at juggling storylines. He could not juggle a storyline to save his life. Because as a writer, you need to have the, you know, if you want to have a complex story, which Attack on Titan does attempt to have a complex, you know, conspiracy narrative, you know, you do need to be able to juggle multiple storylines with a bunch of characters and all these people involved in different ways, and, you know, all these connections, you know. As a writer, you need to be able to comprehend all of the events in your own story and present them and write them in a way that's, you know, not just easy to understand, but in a comprehensible way for the audience to understand it. Isayama can do that. Which is why I think these shocking swerves tend to completely change the story arcs, except for the Trost Arc. Because the Trost Arc, the big shocking swerve from that is that Eren can turn into a Titan, and he didn't really die. And that's interesting, but it's not, you know, it's not so shocking that it completely turns the entire thing into an entirely different story. And like I said with the female Titan arc, it starts off with this whole expedition to go out and get into Eren's basement, which you would think would be a consistent storyline, but it doesn't. Because it's like Isayama has these ideas, how to layer a story. It's like you're layering stories, but instead of layering, he's just moving on. Hey, I have this cool idea. Instead of adding this into the story and interweaving these storylines together, he's just going in, alright, nope, no idea, oh, no idea, oh, no idea, and he's totally moving on. It's ADHD storytelling. And I've been saying that for a very long time, too. But, he can't focus on the storyline. Okay, we're going to Eren's basement. Oh, here's the female Titan arc. What basement? I never said anything about a basement. We have to get the female Titan. And then Erwin's just like, oh yeah, by the way, this is my plan the entire time. And I'm like, are you freaking Light Yagami on steroids, that you knew that this is going to happen? You knew that all these people are going to die? And yeah, there's a whole weird thing about how, yeah, everyone deserves to die because we're, you know, it's okay that a bunch of people are dying as long as we can get even a small victory. Yeah, no. But, and then the whole thing revolves around Annie. And that isn't even that bad of a storyline, because it brings in Marco's death, and then you have this, when, and you reveal these reveals from Armin, like, he's like, when I saw Annie, submit her, 3D maneuver gear, when, Bean and, was it Sunny or something? I don't remember the captive Titans that Hanji was studying, when they're killed and everyone had to submit their 3D maneuver gear, and Armin's like, I recognize that as Marco's, because Marco and I always used to clean our 3D maneuver gears together. It's like, oh, and you see, that's an interesting thing, but it's like you totally swap stories. The whole thing in the basement became it became a joke because of how much it got put off, and that's not good writing. It's like, gosh dang it, the female Titan story arc could have been a good story arc if it had focused on that from the entire time and set everything up properly, and then actually concluded properly, because you have some interesting meaty stuff going on within it, especially when you get into the confrontation that Eren has with Annie, and they're trying to like track her down and trap her. And then you have the actual climax, like the fight with her, which has some dumb stuff, and people are dying because, yeah, this is what people want to see. And actually, the anime actually has some great filler. I actually have to say, some filler in the anime was actually pretty good, especially when they extended that and they had more, stuff going on in that fight before Eren jumps in. And then of course, Eren jumps in and gets beaten, and then he's just like, rage mode, this isn't in the manga, but it's our superpower up to beat any. Even though the actual manga fight, which to the credit of Isayama, I will say that it's something he did that was totally screwed up in the anime, was that conflict with Annie and, I don't remember that city that they were in, but, it was they were they had that fight, and it had Eren reflecting on what Annie had taught him in fighting, which is actually something I really think should have been explored more, but potential is wasted in abundance in Attack on Titan. And you had that fight, and then then Annie ends up losing, especially Mikasa, and she's like trying to climb the wall, and Mikasa cuts her fingers, and had that freaking awesome line where she just kind of taps her head, and she's like, Annie, fall. And that's still a pretty freaking awesome line. And then, Annie ends up being losing, and she seals herself, and that's it. Alright, well, people died, and, a bunch of people died, and we didn't get any answers, and well, that's it. And then you have this whole revelation that there are Titans in the wall, and this is another shocking story, because it doesn't even feel like there was a conclusion to the story arc, but technically that's the end of the female Titan arc. And you have this story thing, and you have Pastor Nick, I believe, he comes in, he's like, no, we must cover that Titan, and it's like, holy crap, what's going on? This guy knows some stuff. So we have this whole mystery with the Titans, and who's really behind it? Why are there Titans in the walls? Oh yeah, by the way, then Nick is killed a few times later, a few chapters later, and we don't get any answers out of him. But he was just like, oh yeah, by the way, there is Historia Rice, and it's like, oh, you have these cool ideals, like this sweet little innocent angel Krista turning out to be the honestly rather tortured soul who's a bastard child of the true king. There's a king, and then there's the actual king. There's Rod Rice, and then I just realized his name was alliterative. But and then you have the real royal family, but then you have this fake puppet king on the throne, and you have all these politics that start coming in, and the politics are never truly defined, and you can't establish a heavy political storyline without really explaining the politics. Even with Fullmetal Alchemist, it didn't delve heavily into politics, but you need to. It at least showed us what was going on, and I could compare this to Attack on Titan to Fullmetal Alchemist all day to explain what Attack on Titan did wrong and what Fullmetal Alchemist did right, but I'll try not to do that too much. But it's like, you have these politics that go on. You need to kind of know, you understand the hierarchy. With Fullmetal Alchemist, you have, the guy in charge is the Führer. The President, Führer, King, Emperor, Shogun, King Bradley. And then you have, the generals, then you have the different districts and everyone, you have different people in charge of these different, sections. The north, south, east, and west, and you have central. You have all these people, things, and you have Fort Briggs, and you understand who's in charge there, and it's like, it gives you enough context so that you're never lost on what's going on. In Attack on Titan, you just get lost in what's going on because, the anime doesn't, or not the anime, but the manga doesn't properly explain things to you. And I have no doubt that Isayama doesn't even know what he's doing. He's just making things up as he goes along. And I have to say, he managed to screw things up maybe, 20 in the 20s? In between 20 and 30 chapters? And even then, there's obviously problems from the very beginning. Good gosh, even Naruto and Bleach managed to go far longer before they started getting bad. And a lot of the problems with Naruto, okay, there were problems, but, a lot of problems really started cropping up in Shippuden. With Bleach, it's after you at least have, the Substitute Shinigami and the Soul Society arc. And then, things start going on, things start getting bad in Hueco Mundo, and as things progress, things start getting worse and worse until you're in that final, the 1,000-year Blood Arc War, and it's just like, stupidity abound. It's like, but Attack on Titan hit that point just a couple years into a monthly publication. This is monthly. At least Naruto and Bleach were weekly, which meant that Kishimoto and Kubo were drawing and writing on a weekly basis, which means Isayama has a month to make a single chapter. He has 4 times as long to make a single chapter as them, and he still couldn't come up with anything remotely good. Come on. That just shows his incompetence. He's an artist, not a writer, and I think that really shows with some of these mangaka. They're not writers, they're artists. And I could honestly do an entire topic, discussing that, but that's not exactly what this is about. So yeah, you're introduced to all these politics and all this stuff about Historia, and and then it comes together, and it's like, oh wow, then we're revealing that, yes, by the way, we're all running from the Titans, we're fighting the Titans, and then it's revealed that Reiner is the armored Titan, and that Berthold is the colossal Titan. And I have to say, Andron had actually, I talked to Andron about this, because way back in 2013 when we were reading the manga, I knew about that because I got spoiled, and to Reiner revealing himself as the armored Titan, but then Andron's like, yeah, but it happens in the most underwhelming way possible. I'm like, how bad could it be? It's literally just a normal panel, and they're kind of walking, and he's just like, hey, by the way, I'm the armored Titan. Berthold's the colossal Titan, and it's just like, it's not even like a big splash page. It's not even like a big dramatic moment where there's this build up. It's not like he does anything before that. He just drops this bomb out of nowhere, and it's like, boom, this changes everything. These 2 guys that they've been working with were actually the cause for this, and you do find out that there are people behind them, but that stuff doesn't get explained, and who's really going on. Just yeah, we'll toss out these answers later, but it's like, there's no, another thing I have to say about these, another reason why a lot of these arcs failed is that for every story you need to have you have investment, and then you have payoff. So the audience gives investment of their time and their attention and their thought and and their money oftentimes, and then you have to have a payoff for their investment. Now, this payoff is different for different genres, but specifically focusing on the conspiracy drama, action story. You have a mystery. You have a mystery that's being solved. Now, obviously, you can't just expose everything immediately, or else you run into the Twin Peaks syndrome, where you have one mystery, and then it's like, yeah, we found it out. What do we do now? So instead of taking an intelligent approach like Full Metal Alchemist did, was that, as you go across the story, you start finding out more and more, and by the end of the manga, or Brotherhood, if you're watching, since that's mostly accurate to the manga, you pretty much know everything that happened. You know the history, the relevant history of the world, all the stuff that happened, you know who Father is, you know who Hohenheim is, you know why they're like how they are, you understand who the, what a Philosopher's Stone is, which was one of the initial, mysteries in the manga. You understand, all the context that's going on and what everyone is doing. But then you have something like Attack on Titan, which takes the Lost approach, where it's like, we don't know how to explain something, so let's just start introducing more mysteries, which I think is one of the biggest problems, is that, when a bad writer doesn't know what they're doing, they'll just toss in something to try to distract you. And it seems interesting at first, and oftentimes in first watch or first read, you don't particularly notice this stuff because, well, you're too invested in the story. When something shocking comes out of the wake, you don't know for certain that this stuff is going to end up going nowhere, or just is or something stupid's going to happen. You always want to see what's going to happen next, and that desire to know is often what drives people. It's how these mystery storylines get so popular. But then there's a difference between it being written well, like Full Metal Alchemist, and it being written like crap, like Attack on Titan or Lost. Well, with Attack on Titan, it's like, yeah, we'll just throw in mysteries, and every time there's an answered question, you'll get 11 more mysteries. And Attack on Titan doesn't even really bother explaining stuff. I remember when I was reading the manga, I remember there was this one time where Hanji reveals, she's like, with our study we have found that the Titans are humans. And then it's like, you might as well play dramatic chipmunk, dun, 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 for how cheesy and underwhelming that was. Like, most of us had figured that out years ago, that the Titans, especially since Eren could turn into a Titan. Yeah, what's so absurd about that these people were turned into Titans? I mean, it didn't even explain anything, intricate about it. It didn't explain where they came from. Maybe there's this one specific instance, and it's like, or how does this process work of turning them into the Titans? We'll explain that later. And sometimes they do explain this stuff later, but like 50 chapters later. But it's like freaking Steven Universe with how it handles its plot. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna dilly-dally around, and then we might explain something later, but you're gonna have to wait 3 seasons. And just, that's so frustrating. There's no reward for this. When you get into Attack on Titan and you have this, like, and even it's funny because the Trost Arc actually does handle this fairly well. Eren's a Titan. And, he had these flashbacks of his dad injecting him with something, so it's kind of easy to figure out, okay, yeah, so he's, that's how that happened. He got injected with, something that let him turn into a Titan. But you at least get the explanation for what happened from his perspective. You show from when he was eaten by that Titan, that you see him, like, transforming for the first time. And then you see him, fighting, and you understand the missing context from him dying and him reappearing as a Titan. You understand the context of, like, the story was going like here, then this time he's gone, but you understand what happened that led to that reveal. Excuse me. So you understand this kind of stuff, and then, everyone kind of sits and talks about stuff, denouement. And, then you have Eren going into trial, yada yada yada. And then going back to what I was going into the storyline, you have this thing with Historia, then it's like, oh, Nick is killed, and, well, we don't have any leads. And then, Eren and Ymir get kidnapped, and again, it's like we're teased with this information. And I remember reading that manga, that chapter when it came out, when Ymir's like with Eren, and pretty much the scene goes like, hey, you know what? I actually know some secrets. You want me to tell you them? And then Reiner's just like, no, you shouldn't tell him. And then Ymir's like, yeah, I shouldn't tell him. And it's like, What? Why even bring this up? Like, why? You're teasing us with this knowledge of secrets and explanations, and you're just going... And that's one thing that's one of the biggest problems with the series overall, and with each, you know, with each succeeding arc after the Trost Arc. You're introduced to this stuff, all these mysteries, and like I said, there's no real payoff, because there's no one explaining anything. You don't get someone explaining anything, and sure, some people might call some of that stuff forced exposition, or just, you know, kind of in your face, but at least you're getting an explanation. I wouldn't have even minded if a character just kind of sat there for several pages, or even a chapter just saying, yeah, so this is what's going on. And giving us context for the characters' motivations and their actions. You know, giving us more context for why Reiner is acting the way he is. I mean, obviously we understand he's got sort of this weird split personality thing going on. But, you know, why is Berthold doing what he's doing? What's going on with the Ymir? What's going on with this, the Titan, this faction, this mysterious faction? And what's going on with them? Like, if we had even if it's something small, like even if Ymir started telling Eren something, and then, you know, then Reiner shut her up, at least have her say something. And it's like, but that's what Isayama constantly does. He constantly withholds information, and I think it's because there's no real explanation. It's like the smoke monster in Lost. The smoke monster is one of the most insane mysteries, and anytime you think you're gonna find out something, no, it doesn't. It remains just one of those big mysteries until, you know, in the last season it's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's the explanation. It's basically like Cain and Abel on this island, a version of that, but then Cain died, and then his brother threw him into the center of the island, and then he just popped out as a smoke monster. It's like, what? And that's what this, but even this feels like. It feels like everything going up into episode, you know, season 7, seasons 1 through 6. Or so, or seasons 1 through 5, but I don't remember what number the last one was. But everything except the last season of Lost is what Attack on Titan feels like. Are you going to get answers? Occasionally, yes, and a lot of them will be underwhelming, and most of the time you're just not going to get answers. And it's like, and you move from, you know, finding Historia, and then Historia is just basically like, you know, once Ymir leaves and she has this complete mental breakdown, and then, you know, and yeah, by the way, in this, during all this chaos and stuff, it's revealed that Eren has the coordinate. Why? Reasons, that's why. He can control Titans. He can control Titans with his own will and mind? Well, this is going to have a drastic effect on the storyline, because if he can just ward off Titans at any time, and, oh, you know, it really doesn't have enough. Yeah, all that stuff you thought could have been done just isn't done, and that's one of the most infuriating parts of this. I probably use that word so many times in this video. It's infuriating, because it's like you have all this cool stuff with Eren, and it's like, yeah, but there's nothing really going on with that. Yeah, don't bother with it. It's like, after the Trost Arc, him being I mean, it's like him having a Titan form isn't really all that important. Sure, it's talked about, but it's never really that important. Even, you know, when the female Titan arc, when they're trying to, you know, when Annie attacks Squad Levi and Eren, you know, instead of Eren staying and fighting, they're all just like, the whole point, like, oh yeah, Squad Levi is dying after they tell him to trust him, which, by all logic, they should have survived, except that Isayama forcibly wrote them to die. Like, literally, had to completely switch up the rules in order to make it happen. It was a Diablos Ex Machina, and it's freaking stupid. It's bad writing. You know, they had Annie on the ropes, and all of a sudden she pulls out this, boom, I can focus my regeneration ability, and then I instantly kill everyone I was having a hard time with. Like, well, but then Levi tanks her solo, like, oh yeah, Levi, yeah, great, yeah, yeah, we love Levi. I did like Levi at first, but then he just got dumb. But it's like you have all this stuff going on, and you never really get any significant reveals. Even when Historia comes in, it's like, because, you know, for the longest time, like, this, once we're introduced to the fact that Historia, or that Krista is actually Historia, it's like, there's a long time, I think it may have been like a year and a half, where we don't actually get anything from her perspective. everything is from someone else's perspective, someone else talking about her, specifically Ymir. And Ymir would say things that are horrible and cruel, which, I mean, she does horrible and cruel things to Historia because she was abusive. But she would, like, say something like that one chapter where they were, out in the snow and she was trying to rescue someone, even though it was probably going to get her killed. Ymir's like, wow, well, you're suicidal, huh? You want to die and be martyred, huh? And it's like, and I was thinking about that, like, it doesn't really make much sense. And of course, that's not what it was, but, Ymir, Historia didn't say anything. Ymir just started saying these horrible things about her. And Historia was too much of a doormat with Ymir to actually say anything. But then we finally get something with her, in the early 50s in the chapters. And you have, like, and then it's all she says is basically her backstory, which I thought was super dumb when I first read it, and I still think it's pretty dumb because it's just grimdark. But then we finally have Historia talk, and when in chapter 54, and this is the Ericary chapter, but this is the one chapter where Historia and Aaron have an honest heart-to-heart conversation, where Aaron, talks to her, she basically just, like, she's empty. She doesn't have anyone she doesn't think there's anyone who cares about her. The only person that she had any attachment to with, Ymir, who she had a severe codependence issue with, is gone, so she has nothing. Then Aaron tells her that, she's like, I like you just being you and not being Krista. I like you more when you're, being yourself. Even if you're a darker and more jaded individual, and it's something that's important, and that's a big moment for her character. And considering that Krista didn't really have much relevance, and now we have Historia, like, oh, wow, this is cool stuff. And then they introduce this whole plot line where they're trying to use them as bait, and then they're trying to figure out what's going on, and then they're then they're like kidnapped by like the city guard, or like these people who are supposed to be who are humans, are working for the government. But then all of a sudden it turns into, all right, now we're a revolutionary, we're a revolution fighting against the government of poorly explained politics and no idea what's going on. And I was reading this chapter, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. Like that was the first time I quit reading the manga. I was just like, I can't take this. It's like, and then they bring back the guy who's the douchebag who nearly got people killed because he was trying to drag all of his stuff through the hole in the wall, and through the escape route. And then they bring him back, and then of course they just kill him off because whatever. And then it's like they have a victory where they had Jean dress up as Aaron, which I think he does that a couple times, but whatever. And then Aaron and Historia get captured, and then you have this whole new arc where it's all about, Aaron and Historia being trapped, and Historia makes this dumb decision to decide with her father, the father that she hated, and who had her mother killed in front of her, and then treated her like crap. And then, then admittedly, I was done with that. Like, okay, no, you're just done. And then you get to this whole thing where she basically turns on him, and she freaking grabs him and throws her dad, even though Historia is like itty-bitty. And then she basically is just like, she punches Aaron in the face, like communist style, after he was just like, eat me, eat me, from MIB. But, yeah, he thought that, she would, his life would be better served with being used by her. And then she punches him in the face. She's like, no, I'm your friend, Aaron, we're gonna get out of this. And I was like, okay, that was good. And it's like, but then then they escape, and then it's like, okay, then you have this other thing where they're fighting against the government still, and then they end up defeating Rod, and he like gets turned into a Titan or something, and then Historia kills him, and now she's queen. And then then I guess that means they took over, and it's just like, what the hell is going on? It's like, some of these stuff were just entire story arcs, and it's like so jumbled up, and it's like, all this time, you have Annie still in a crystal, and then you had Berthold, Reiner, and Ymir, who had run off to do stuff, disappear for like years in real time. Then they only reappeared to basically die. So, and that happened fairly recently, because I haven't really, I've only occasionally kept up with the manga, but then you have all these stupid reveals that are going on, and it's like, I can't do this. Like, I can't handle this. Like, this writing is so horrible. And the one, like, I think the main thing that these other arcs should have done is just be complete. You see, honestly, I would even say that there's, it's not even really separate arcs. It's basically just a constant succession of mini arcs. You have an arc, boom, gets cut off, shocking twist. An arc, boom, gets cut off, shocking twist. An arc here, boom, gets cut off, shocking twist. An arc, boom, gets cut off, shocking twist. And it does it over and over and over and over and over again. And then it decides to arbitrarily go, yep, this is the end of an arc. This is the end of an arc. And this is the end of an arc, even though you technically have a bunch of these mini stories. And because Isayama is incapable of juggling all these plot lines and characters, he'll just kill off all the characters for drama. And then he'll just only focus on a micro, a small part of the story. And you end up with this entirely unfocused storytelling it's dizzying to read, and it's really confusing reading it month to month. I mean, this wouldn't have been bad if it was a weekly manga, but going month to month, you have just, sometimes you forget what's going on, and yeah, you forgot what's going on, and now you have to reread the last 5 or 6 chapters just to get basic context for what's going on, and it's so confusing. And even binging, even because I did binge, like, because when I started reading the manga, there were about 40-something chapters out, and I binged all of them in like a week or two. And then I started reading, and then I started reading it monthly, and it's like you just get so confused about what's going on. It's like, what is going on in this story? And it doesn't know. Isayama doesn't know. You have all these interesting ideas, and he can come up with ideas, but he can't write a consistent storyline. And this is one of the most infuriating things about writers who try to write big, complex stories, is that they're not capable of it. And Isayama is incapable. If he had a co-writer, someone who was there to help him write, and he had a strong editor who was, helping him write these stories, because, I mean, his editor did make some wise decisions, such as telling him not to kill Sasha, who's a great character. He would have killed her in like the 30s in chapters, if he had it his way. It's like, ugh. And Isayama wanted to literally end everything by just killing everyone off, and that's the end. And it's like, and the only reason he hasn't done that is because his editor was sitting there like, no, because he realizes that if you just kill off all the main characters, congratulations, you just killed the manga. So that's why a lot of these characters have this absurd plot armor. And it gets annoying, really annoying as time goes on. It's like they're not even playing by the rules of the world. The rules of the world are so cruel that Squad Levi, Mike Zacharias, Nanaba, like all these people who are extremely skilled and talented all die. Then you have a bunch of newbies like Aaron and Mikasa and Armin and Jean and Sasha and Connie all coming in, and they survive somehow by sheer dumb luck and pluck armor. And that's just all these story arcs. It's like, I always look back. Now, if I ever reread the manga or rewatched the anime, which I doubt I'll do anytime soon, I'm sure, it'd become even more obvious when these problems start arising. Because the second the female Titan shows up and it turns from the get to Aaron's basement arc to the female Titan arc, that's when the show would that's when the manga completely spelled its doom. Because that was a tale of things to come. Storylines that you thought things were building up to, and then it's like, no. And it's like completely swerving. And really, I think that's the sum up. I think this has gone on really long enough, because I've been talking for quite a while. One of the biggest problems with all these arcs following the Trost Arc is they're not complete. They don't have any real competence to them. They don't give you proper explanations, so that as you go on and you put your investment into the manga, you're reading this chapter to chapter, even buying volumes, you're not getting any real answers. You have to wait, dozens of chapters to get even the simplest of answers, and even then, it's probably something that everyone already figured out years ago. you don't have, anything really compelling going on in these stories. And okay, that may be a bit wrong. There's stuff that is compelling, but it's not done competently, so that the compelling stuff is either, shoved away into a corner, totally hidden, not mentioned, or the characters who know anything are killed off, or decide just not to talk. So, Trost Arc was good because it told a story. It told a fairly competent story, and it would have led into greater things. It gives you hope for the series moving forward. All the other arcs after them, they're a mess at best. Like, we probably have a dozen, from the end of the Trost Arc to where we are now, we probably had a dozen plus different story arcs go on. But if you look in the wiki, it'll only say there have been a few. It's like, no, but you have all these story arcs going on and being dropped, picked up again like 30 chapters later, and it's like all this stuff just... And honestly, but I don't know if they actually got to the basement, but if they did, the big mystery, what's in the basement, no one cares anymore. Just, it's disappointing. Like, I really got into Attack on Titan, and this story was just bad. I think I've exhausted myself with this topic, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. So, really, I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think, what do you guys think of all the arcs after the Trost Arc? What do you guys think of the Trost Arc? What do you think of the aftermath of the Trost Arc, which had some of the best moments, I think, in the entire series? Such as, Jean's finally realization of, basically he has to step up, and, he's gonna, inspired by Marco in his death and making sure this wasn't meaningless. What do you guys think? I want to know what you guys think about this stuff. And also, if you want to submit a topic, if you're on YouTube, you can simply comment down below, or if you're on YouTube, if you're on Tumblr, then you can, send me an ask and do colon and then whatever topic you want me to talk about. Just make sure to follow the rules that I'll be posting down below. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when I get that done. And thank you for watching.